Pizza time. Hi, welcome back to the channel. I know in the last video for Spider Week, I said we'd be ranking suits, but I lied. Today we have my good friend Evan on the channel. We're gonna be ranking in a tier list style, all the Spider-Man movies excluding No Way Home, the Japanese Spider-Man movie, and those really weird ones from the 80s. We're not ranking those at the moment. One day maybe. After No Way Home, we'll see if our opinions change on any of these movies. And tomorrow, hopefully, a villain's version of this video is going to come out. So I hope you guys enjoy.
So we're gonna start off with the movies here. You ready for this one? You ready for?
I am ready.
All
All
right.
right.
First movie we got Into the Spider-Verse. What are you thinking?
Okay, so Spider-Verse right off the bat. Okay, a lot of people love this, right? This, like, even for non-Spider-Man fans, this was a great movie, and like a lot of people loved it. I don't know if I want to put it right at S right away, just to see what everything else is. So I think I'm gonna put it at an A for now, but then we can go back and rearrange if that's okay.
That's fine. I'd happen to agree with you there. The cast is really great, and the villains are pretty great in that. And it's a very well-written movie as well. So, all right, Far From Home.
Far From Home.
I'm thinking C. It's not the best. Like I like the villain. Mysterio's awesome. He's my favorite comic book villain. But what do you think?
This is one of my personal favorite Spider-Man movies, but for this one, I'd probably put it at an A again because it fixed a lot of what people didn't like about Homecoming, which was the fact that Peter really wasn't suffering any consequences. And we definitely see at the end that he suffers some consequences. Now we're going to see a lot more of that in No Way Home. But in this one, I just really love it because, sure, like a lot of the people don't like how like the villains feel. They don't feel like Spider-Man villains. They feel more like Tony Stark villains, which I can agree with.
Yeah.
But I still really love like almost everything about this movie. It just shows how much Peter Parker has grown up since his first film.
Oh yeah. He's a more matured man. In this one especially, even after the two Avengers movies, which happened in between them. So that one, it sets it up very well, I'd say, for the future. So where are we putting this one?
I was gonna put it at an A, but I think B would probably be a little more appropriate.
Yeah. I'll compromise in B. Homecoming. Ooh. I know this one's one of your personal favorites. Me, I think it's all right. I'd put it in A. What are you thinking?
You'd put it in A?
Yeah.
Now, after what I just mentioned from Far From Home, I'm tempted to put it in a B or C, actually.
Really?
Yeah, because if I go back and watch it, it just feels like a kid who's fumbling around with stuff.
Oh,
and
okay.
It doesn't feel like a Spider-Man movie, really, until like the final act.
Yeah. So you think like he's not Spider-Man until the end because he's just kind of doesn't know what he's doing in a way, sort of?
Yeah. I'd say that's exactly what I'm saying. Yeah.
I'm gonna save the villain talk for this one for when we actually talk about the villains because I love. Wait, were we putting it in B?
I'd say B is a good place for it.
Yeah. I love that. I love the Vulture in this movie. Perfect twist villain on the Peter Parker end of things for him. I think it's brilliant how they did it, honestly.
I don't think they've messed up with a villain arc so far, except for in Spider-Man 3, but that's a different subject.
Oh, so I'll fight you on that one. I will. You got Spider-Man 1, Sam Raimi. This is my favorite Spider-Man film, so choose your words wisely. I just finished watching this today.
Oh, this is such an amazing film if you actually watch it. Now I can say that the second one is a little bit of a better film, but I really love the final act of this film. I love the final acts of a lot of these movies, but this one just really stands out because I love how close quarters he gets with Green Goblin.
Oh yeah.
Like the literal fist fight, and he blows up Peter Parker, which he should have died from that.
Yeah.
Let's just be honest. He should have died from that. And we'll get back to almost dying from pumpkin bombs when we get to Spider-Man 3, but
when they fight without the music and stuff and just how ferocious it is, it really gives you a sense of how dire it is. And I really love that. So go ahead.
From what I've heard, we're gonna get a lot more of that in No Way Home.
Oh, please. I want to really badly put it in S.
I do also.
Okay, I'm glad we can agree. If I could, I'd put an S+ right there, but I don't wanna. Spider-Man 2, perfect sequel.
I have to put it perfect sequel, yeah. And that's really hard to do nowadays, especially in the Spider-Man world. But yeah, I mean, perfect sequel right there. I'd put it all the way up with S. Just the character development is great because they're not rushing it too much, and they save some for the third film.
Oh yeah.
But we still.
It's really well put together with the character development too, because he's just kind of beaten down, and then he finally gets what he wants, and he's like, "Oh, nope, responsibility's got to take over now," and it's a really good sort of arc for Peter there.
I'd go right up with S again.
Okay, Spider-Man 3, my favorite Spider-Man one. I think this one's got to be second.
Second?
Like,
I completely agree that it's definitely up there in my favorites, but I also have to agree with a lot of the people who didn't like all of the villains in there.
There's definitely narrative problems when you get so many in one spot, but I think they did the best they could, really, with them forcing Venom into this movie. I can see what they were trying to do with the Harry and Sandman plot there, but forcing Venom into it kind of took your eyes away from Sandman and Harry and just made you focus on Topher Grace's Eddie.
And Venom being forced in there is something that you have to bring up with this film, because Sam Raimi, he's an amazing director. He's amazing. I mean, look at the past two films. Both of them are up in the S tier right now, okay? And
like before this movie, I think he made the perfect Spider-Man films, honestly. Like, these are peak Spider-Man.
And like you said, the third film really should have been focused on Sandman and Harry. And that would have been probably my favorite Spider-Man movie out of everything. But he was forced to do something that he wasn't familiar with. He knew the old comics, but he wasn't necessarily up to date with the newer ones that introduced Venom. So the people wanted Venom. He didn't really know how to work around it. So I think he did the best that he could. I'm going to put this in an A tier.
I can put it there, yeah. I'd agree. He was just kind of weighed down by limitations, you know? And it sucks because it really shows in the final product, unfortunately. Spider-Man, the Amazing Spider-Man one. Okay, what are we thinking? Personally, I think this is probably S tier, but I want to hear what you say first.
S tier? I don't know if I'd go all the way up to S. I think this is another A tier. But that's only because they needed to keep some of the scenes with the lizard in them, because there were a lot of the deleted scenes with him in his normal life that would have made him a lot more of a relatable character. And
he would have been a more formidable villain too, I think.
Yes. And Mark Webb, he does an amazing job with character building in these films. And I mean, especially the first one. Like, a lot of people didn't like how he made Spider-Man like a skateboarder kid and a purposeful outsider. I think that like wasn't necessarily a bad thing, because Peter Parker, sure, he's a nerd, but it's also like an outcast, kind of.
I think that it's a really, really good decision to do that because it's like a modern take on the original Steve Ditko Stan Lee Spider-Man. He's kind of a jerk in this movie. Like, he sucks, really. He's just rude to others and whatnot. But he's got that good in him. And it's sort of like in the comics where he's like, because in the comics, he's even said he'd be a bully if he could, you know? And he finally gets the chance to in this movie. And he then, Uncle Ben dies and whatnot, great power, great responsibility, but he doesn't say that, unfortunately. I think it's the perfect comic book adaptation of him, of like Peter Parker specifically.
I can understand how he's like your perfect comic adaptation of Peter Parker, because I mean, I usually think of Sam Raimi's Peter Parker when I think of Peter Parker, but like, if you really think about it, he
like Sam has just been his Peter's my go-to when I think of Spider-Man, but
right. But if you really look at him compared to the comics, I mean, if you really watch the first movie, he just wasn't nice to Uncle Ben at all after he got his powers. He was just like,
he was just rude. He's downright
he was so rude. Oh my gosh. But that does set up a lot of him just feeling even worse after Ben dies. So, but yeah, I can see how the Amazing Spider-Man Peter Parker is your favorite comic book Peter Parker.
So where are we gonna put this bad boy? What?
I don't know if I'd put it in an S. I kind of want to, if there was like a space between S and A, that's probably where I'd put it. How we can put it in an S for now, I'd say, because it is a really good movie, and we're gonna rearrange at the end. So
yeah, Amazing Spider-Man 2. Oh boy.
I'll let you go first on this.
Okay. Why'd they make him blue? Of all choices, why is he blue?
There was a comic line where he was just a blue guy.
Well, I don't like that comic either. Everything else I think is really good except the plot with his parents. That one's just stupid. They could have left that out and put the MJ scenes in instead. A lot of the Gwen Stacy scenes in that movie are brilliant. I have a really controversial opinion though. Green Goblin, this is one of the better Green Goblins ever.
That is really controversial.
I really, really like the plot where he's trying to get healthy again and he needs Spider-Man, and that's what propels him to be the big bad evil guy against him and tries to try to get his blood, and then combine that with Peter lying to him and not giving him the blood when he knows he needs it or something. That's like I think that's a really good conflict setup there.
My opinions are almost completely opposite of yours, except for the way that they went around Harry's arc. I really liked that as well. Wasn't a fan of the final design choice. But
the design is
I also I also felt like it was really, really rushed. They could have they introduced us to his disease at the beginning of the film, but they waited until the very end of the film, like the final half an hour less, to actually show us him as Green Goblin.
Like they could have had a little more build up to that at least.
Right. Or like more time as Green Goblin. I didn't have a problem with Electro being blue. I thought it was fine. The hoodie, they could have gotten rid of the hoodie for the New York scene. That was a little strange. This movie, I actually kind of like. We know that they're building up to the death of Gwen Stacy. I didn't at the time because I wasn't familiar with the comics. But looking back, they were definitely basing it off of the comics run where Gwen Stacy died. She even died in the bell tower in the comics too. So it's definitely an okay movie. I like it. And I think it definitely has I don't know if it has my favorite Spider-Man suit, but it's definitely up there in my list.
That suit, fresh. It's fresh.
I know.
Why?
And we can't ignore that both of the Amazing Spider-Man movies have amazing web swinging sequences.
Oh, dude.
And
those are brilliant. They're amazing. They're spectacular.
I know. The second movie, especially in my opinion. I mean,
Mm.
that opening sequence, the real opening sequence is the plot with the parents that we just want to ignore, really.
Yeah.
But the opening sequence where it has the spider emblem and then it fades out to him falling and the suit rippling. Oh my gosh. The CGI shots in this.
They are genuinely a work of marvelous art, dude.
If they did the MCU Tom Holland Spider-Man with this kind of animation,
I feel like he
I
would be
would.
accepted so much more if they did
Oh my
that
gosh,
like that. Yeah.
so much more.
Because his suit in those movies, they're just kind of bland, but like with the CGI in this one, oh, like come on.
Yeah.
They're great.
My goodness. So I'd probably put it a B. A B. I hate to put it around the same place as the MCU Spider-Man, but that's probably where I'd rank it. Its own place. Its own place. The Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Venom 1, we're gonna include these because they're technically Spider-Man movies. I really like Venom 1. A lot of people don't like it because it's so goofy and it's so over the top with a lot of it. But yeah, I think it's perfect for this specific. Like it, if you look past that, it's a very, very good movie. Like,
yeah. And I would rank this almost at the same level as the MCU Spidey because I think it has a lot of the same, I wouldn't call them pacing problems, but you can't get super connected to the character. I mean, you can get connected to him, but like you said, it's kind of goofy, right? It's kind of out there.
I think it's also got the same like villain problems as the MCU because he's kind of just like, I don't know, like an Elon Musk gone bad kind of type guy.
Yeah.
In this one, so yeah, like it's pretty good.
Right. Yeah. So I'd put that at a B with the other MCU films.
I'd have to say. Have you seen Let There Be Carnage?
I have.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that you'd seen it yet. Okay, let's talk.
Yeah, I saw it in the theater a while back.
Okay.
I gotta say, I was a little let down by this, a little bit. Not that the end credit scene didn't make up for it, but as a movie, I was not entirely thrilled by it. This movie felt like almost nothing happened, if I'm being completely honest. Carnage, it was amazing to see him on screen. I thought he could be a little more red. I mean, he was a great character, but he felt kind of pinkish to me, which I didn't like.
And speaking about Carnage, too, the VFX on that thing with him transforming from Cletus, dude.
Oh my gosh,
it's
so good.
It,
we can't ignore the liquid simulations in this. Well, they're not even real liquid sims, actually. If you watch any of the behind the scenes,
I think they had to build
it's
them
basically
themselves, I think, right?
Yeah, it's basically just a character model that they're making look like a liquid sim because it doesn't work in the same way that a liquid really would.
Yeah.
So
it the technological achievements alone in this one, I think, make it very cool just to watch, honestly.
Yeah.
The story, though, I'd have to say I like it more than Venom 1. For a 90-minute movie, they paced it really well. For like a 90-minute superhero movie, and they got
for
a
90-minute movie. Yeah, I felt like it was a little rushed, but considering that it was kind of a short movie, it was fairly well paced. Yeah.
I don't even remember what I was going to say right there. And left the station and didn't come back.
I don't know. It wasn't memorable enough to me. It kind of fell flat in my opinion. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, I can't really. I'd have to agree because I can't really remember a lot of the actual plot other than gotta stop Cletus. Like he'd be bad guy now.
Also, they called what's the woman villain's name in this movie?
Oh, I think it's Screech.
Screech or something. Yeah, Screech. They called her powers at the beginning mutations.
Oh, you think that's like a mutant thing? Is what they're
I mean,
saying?
they could try and say that it's a mutant thing. I mean, for some reason, if the MCU just decides to push the Sony films away, like not the Spider-Man ones, but the X-Men ones, then that would be a decent way to.
Because those are all really well accepted.
They were, and they were great films because they were new to the superhero movie industry, and they did great. They were well paced and everything. They did. Oh my gosh.
I think it's some of the better X-Men content out there. Honestly.
Yeah. So where are we gonna rank this?
I'm thinking somewhere in here.
Me too.
Maybe our first C tier.
Maybe. Oh geez. I kind of have to put it at a C tier.
Yeah. F. And what this means. Jamie Foxx.
Jamie Foxx.
Jamie Foxx.
Oh, Jamie Foxx.
He's back.
How do you like the new?
Thanks for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Stay tuned tomorrow for our villains tier list. And drink your water. And okay.